Hi, this is Victoria from crushcrypto.com. Were there digital currencies before the creation of Bitcoin? In this video, I will be answering this question and will be giving an overview on the history of digital money. This video is part of Crush Crypto's educational series where we will be exploring different areas of blockchain technology. Bitcoin, which was introduced in 2009, is the first digital currency to achieve widespread recognition around the world. Due to its popularity and mass market recognition, many people believe it to be the first digital currency. But the concept of secure digital currency has actually been around since the 1980s, almost 3 decades before Bitcoin was released. There have been several attempts at creating a viable digital currency, including DigiCash, BitGold, Hashcash, and B-Money. These actually served as inspiration for the eventual conceptualization and creation of Bitcoin many years later. In the next few minutes, I will be discussing each of these 4 digital currencies in more detail. In 1982, a computer scientist named David Chaum released a paper where he outlined an alternative to the electronic transactions that were hitting retail stores at the time. His paper is considered one of the first proposals of digital currency in history. He continued working on his proposal for untraceable transactions. In 1990, he launched a company called DigiCash to commercialize his ideas. And in 1994, the company made their first electronic cash transaction over the internet. DigiCash transactions were unique at the time as they involved the use of protocols such as blind signatures and public key cryptography for anonymity. This meant that third parties were prevented from accessing personal information through online transactions. Despite introducing such novel technology at the time, DigiCash was not profitable as a company. In 1998, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and was sold off several years later. Chaum believed the problem with DigiCash was being in the market too early. It entered the market before e-commerce was fully integrated with the internet. It was hard to get enough merchants to accept it and enough consumers to use it. Both needed to happen in tandem with momentum. Another proposed currency, BitGold, was an attempt to create a decentralized digital currency. It was proposed by Nick Szabo, a computer scientist and cryptographer who is widely regarded as the inventor of smart contracts. BitGold was never actually implemented, but is considered by many to be the direct precursor to Bitcoin because of their similarities from a technical standpoint. Szabo did not like the fact that traditional financial systems required a large amount of trust to conduct transactions, which led to issues like fraud and theft. He conceived BitGold as a trustless model of transacting based on the economic properties of gold with increased security. BitGold and Bitcoin are technically similar as BitGold was planning to implement a proof-of-work style consensus mechanism where computing power would be used to solve cryptographic puzzles. The solved puzzles would then be sent to a Byzantine fault-tolerant peer-to-peer network with each puzzle attached to the public key of the solver. A cryptographic hash would then be used to link the solution of the most recent puzzle to the next puzzle. This method was designed to secure groups of transactions because network users would have to agree on a previous puzzle solutions before being able to solve new ones. The biggest difference between BitGold and Bitcoin is that Bitcoin was able to solve the double spending problem. An example of double spending is paying $10 worth of Bitcoin for lunch, then using the same $10 worth of Bitcoin for another transaction later in the day. This problem was a major hurdle for early projects because digital currency is simply represented as data that can be copied. Most forms of digital currency use a central authority that tracks account balances to deal with double spending. Szabo wanted to mimic the security and the trust characteristics of gold, which is a commodity that does not depend on a central authority. The BitGold proposal planned to use a Byzantine fault-tolerant method relying on a quorum of network addresses. However, this made the network vulnerable to attacks and manipulation. Bitcoin was more successful as it utilized blockchain technology and the concept of block confirmations to protect against double spending. This allowed for more transaction security compared to what BitGold proposed at the time. Another early digital currency, Hashcash, was initially proposed in 1997 by a British cryptographer named Adam Back. He wanted to create a mechanism to throttle systematic abuse of unmetered internet resources such as email. He further detailed his ideas in a paper that he released in 2002. Hashcash was designed to solve the widespread distribution of spam email. With Back's solution, the sender of an email would be required to use a small amount of CPU power to solve a puzzle before the email could be sent out. For a regular email user, the amount of CPU power needed was negligible as it was such a small amount for each email. It might potentially delay the sending of an email by a few seconds, which wouldn't be much of a problem for most users. But for someone trying to send out thousands of emails in a short amount of time, the combined CPU power required would make it near impossible to send out mass spam. The spammer would also have to pay all of the electricity costs associated with solving the required computations. This also makes spamming less appealing. Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, referenced Hashcash in his white paper for Bitcoin. According to Nakamoto, to implement a distributed timestamp server on a peer-to-peer basis, a proof-of-work system similar to Hashcash would be needed. Another digital currency, B-Money, was a proposal for an anonymous distributed electronic cash system. It was created by a computer engineer named Wei Dai. He published an essay that outlined his ideas in 1998. In his essay, he proposed two protocols. He knew the first protocol would be impractical, but it served as motivation for his second protocol. For the first protocol, he suggested using proof of work as a way to create money. It was proposed as a possible application of Hashcash's proof of work technology. Transactions would be broadcasted to all network participants, and everyone would keep track of how much money belonged to each account. This would enable the possibility of contracts that could be made with reparation in case of default, with a third party as an agreed arbitrator. The second protocol was different from the first because only a subset of network participants would be used to keep track of how much money is owned by each account. Considering that the servers must be trusted, there also needed to be a mechanism in place to ensure honest behavior. His idea was to have each server deposit a certain amount of money in a special account to be used for potential fines or rewards for proof of misconduct. The format of transactions broadcasted on the network was the same as in the first protocol. The main difference was the added expectation that transaction participants would verify the message has been received and processed by a randomly selected subset of the servers. Let me now switch to Cypherpunks and their philosophy. Cypherpunk is a name given to an activist that advocates for privacy-enhancing technologies such as cryptography for social and political change. In 1992, a small group of cryptographers got together in San Francisco and adopted the name Cypherpunks, and it was the first time the name was used. The Cypherpunks mailing list was created in the same year as an active forum for discussing various topics such as cryptography, math, computer science, politics, and philosophy. Cypherpunks generally hold libertarian political views, and many believe in the idea of crypto-anarchism as outlined in Timothy May's The Crypto-Anarchist Manifesto in 1992. In his manifesto, May mentions that new technologies will completely change the nature of government regulation, the ability to tax and control economic interactions, the ability to keep information secret, and will even impact the nature of trust and reputation. He also states that the technology for this social and economic revolution has existed in theory since the 1980s, but the next 10 years will bring enough additional speed to make the ideas economically feasible and essentially unstoppable. In 1993, Eric Hughes released a Cypherpunks manifesto, which outlined the core principles of the cypherpunk movement. Some of the most significant statements are shown on this slide. For example, the manifesto talks about how privacy is necessary for an open society in the electronic age, and privacy requires anonymous transaction systems and cryptography. Cypherpunks are those dedicated to defending privacy with cryptography, anonymous mail forwarding systems, digital signatures, and electronic money. So in summary, the Cypherpunks' mission is to build open source systems designed to defend privacy. They believe that individuals should have the power to reveal their identity and words only when they choose to, and that neither governments nor corporations can protect this right. The cypherpunk movement is directly responsible for the creation of digital currency, blockchain technology, and Bitcoin. All four founders of the Bitcoin precursors that I discussed earlier were cypherpunks that first proposed their ideas through the mailing list. Satoshi Nakamoto cited a number of cypherpunks in his Bitcoin white paper. In fact, he first announced his white paper and the Genesis block creation for Bitcoin through the mailing list. Many of the early cypherpunks went on to become core developers for Bitcoin. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully it helped to give you an overview on the history of digital currency before Bitcoin came onto the stage. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and join our Telegram group to receive our latest in our educational series and other updates. The invite link to our Telegram channel can be found in the video description. Hope you have a great day.